We're coming to our yoga mats. Welcome. This is going to look different, this practice, than what you see at different times. Right now, I'm coming to the front of my mat. You might notice yourself staying longer or shorter. I'm gently shaking the body with intention to unleash any stuckness, any energy that might just be waiting to be available to me. It is stored in our bodies, and we need to access this energy in order to get a sense of self-calm and self-control. The subtlest of movements help to anchor us into a new orientation to ourselves. So, this tipping of the tailbone and this rising of my sternum, chest bone, or breastplate really helps to resituate how I'm experiencing my body in the subtleties rather than gross assumptions about my own body and how it's comfortable. My arms are out to the side. You might notice expansion across your chest. Rocking TCY. We're rocking the body in small and big ways. Just as a baby is rocked scientifically, this helps to create a greater sense of homeostasis, self-adjustment, preparedness for all that comes by feeling that we are anchored, we are connected to a sense of wellness. Hand circles, smooth out on the sacrum where a huge bundle of nerves are. And now hand sweeps along the legs, going up toward the sits bones and over the sacrum again. You may or may not be on this particular journey with me. However, there's always a benefit to learning while simultaneously listening to your body. This said, the heels of my hands are pressing into the crux of my thigh where the psoas is, the hip flexor. This is creating such a nice long felt sense in the low back. Pressing the heels of my hands, reaching the crown of my head away from the heels of my hands. What do you feel here? Natural breath, ebbing and flowing as you need it to. I'm getting ready to shift here as I turn to have my back toward you for a moment, doing thumb presses along both the low back and between the ribs. So whereas I'm choosing to use just my thumbs, you might use closed hands to slide along the space in between the ribs. Right now, it's movement with my thumbs Now going across from the spine on either side of the spine, never pressing on the spine itself, and then going outward. And now closed hands going to the lumbar spine, challenging myself here. What's right for you? Maybe it's keeping the heels flat on the ground. Maybe you're going to stay with it longer and continue to do what you just saw me doing, with the heels up and the knees bent however much it is comfortable for you. As you might see here, if you're looking up toward me, I've placed one hand on my hip and one hand and arm, elongating, reaching over, self-soothing here, connecting, not only self-soothing, I'm also determining, and determining and self-determination is what TCY is founded on. Determination precedes choice making. So by self-soothing just there, taking the hand, various parts of my body that was engaged, I was able to determine what I needed to do next. Now, the human body is very similar in every human being. So you will undoubtedly benefit from doing any or all of this. However, you also benefit from tapping into your own self-determination. So right there I'm showing with that gentle shake of the head, I'm showing you that we want to make sure that the shoulder is in line with the side wall versus being over, collapsing to the front of the body. And now we can see we've moved on, and maybe you have decided that you need to stay where you were already. So finding your way, as you might see, I'm doing self-soothing here while getting a stretch into the rotator cuff on my right side, open palm, my other hand is closed hand, and sensing into my back region. Staying with that shoulder stretch and rotator stretch. I'm reaching opposite arm up and over. You are either determining what you need through connecting with yourself in this moment in self-soothing ways, or you might be following along, you might be resting. That might be part of your repertoire of human needs that we all share in common. And of course, how do we determine? We determine through rigorous and unrelenting self-inquiry. Here, I'm placing my hands toward me to energize my own self as much as anyone else in this process of self-connection in my TCY practice. I'm feeling a strength in my legs and the openness in my back, opening up the will centers in the back, feeling the strength in the legs, the weight in the feet. And I'm continuing, and my breath is natural breath, as always, as is in the TCY practice. Listening, adjusting to your own inner ear of what it is that you need. I bow to you in this listening. Always reconnecting with our intentions. That's what you were just seeing just then. That's what fires us up, keeps us connected. These gentle shakeouts in my upper back really help. What about you? Where might you help to loosen the body and any held tension that is unnecessary in the body? These gentle roll up and roll down needs to be done slowly, methodically almost. And the pelvic floor is drawing in and up on women and men. We might take comfort in rolling the shoulders, feeling the hips work alongside the undulations of the shoulders, creating a wave and a rocking in the body. Once again, rocking helps to increase our learning and memory, all in one simple self-practice. I am going to prepare myself. I needed to come back and center one more time before I step my right foot back. We might be in different places right now physically, and that's okay. Self-soothing at that nerve hub, the hub of nerves there in the sacrum, creating a greater sense of ease and pleasure in the practice so that our body remembers this practice as something that it really wants to get back to. This helps us to secure our practice and root in a practice that takes us to newfound senses of wellness in the long term. Here I'm reminding myself to draw in and up at the pelvis and my hip, my left hip, to draw back. And now a rocking at the base of this sliding almost between this low lunge and this stretch throughout the entire body. My right toes are tucked under. Yours might be best served, the health of your foot might be best served to not be in that way, but to have the foot flat when we eventually return to this again. So always listening and activating your own personal freedom of self-determination. What part of ourselves do we need to include that we might have discluded with the idea that that is just what we're supposed to do? For me, it's this movement here. What is it for you? Natural breathing. Whatever that means to you, whatever's natural, just keeping the intention to be comfortable in your breath. If anything feels uncomfortable, set the intention. Self-talk. How do I get comfortable again in my breath? And your body will instinctively know the answer and provide that answer on the spot. Sometimes we need to exhale through the mouth. Sometimes we need to inhale through the mouth. Sometimes we need to exhale through the nose. Sometimes we need to inhale through the nose. Sometimes we need a longer breath, a shorter breath. Nevertheless, and nonetheless, this is my moment here. I need to get my whole body involved in this new sense or this surge of energy that's available to me. This means feet and arms and legs and neck and chest connecting as I was. Again, what does it mean to you? What if we feel the strength in our legs here? Maybe it's out of place to be working in your legs right now. Maybe you've been doing a lot of running. In that case, there's a whole plethora of ideas that I've shown in the last 15 minutes that you can draw upon and determine what's best for you. I've gone on to the other side. We might pause here. You might find flow like you did on the other side without taking such a long pause. Remember, self-soothing always has a place. Maybe it's an open hand, a closed hand. Maybe it's the front of the hand or the back of the hand, or just your thumb, doing some thumb circles somewhere in the crease of the top of the thigh, where your hip flexor is. We, as a shared human species, tend to benefit from self-soothing in that hip crease. I'm doing hand sweeps on the leg, and in no particular order, notice. In my last cycle here of this rocking motion, I'm reminded with these ocean sounds that in TCY, we can drink water throughout the practice in small sips or great sips, whenever is needed, in listening and determining those needs. I'm stepping forward to the front of the mat. I'm noticing, I'm sensing. So sensing doesn't always look like it makes common sense. But the greatest sense is the sense that connects us to a greater sense of knowing of ourselves. My body remembers, I want to do arm circles on this side too. It must be all that rocking that's helping to consolidate that learning and memory. I hope you're enjoying your practice. Let us approach ourselves with gentleness. We already know what we're made of. Anybody who can survive through the times that we have survived through in recent years is capable of turning the key, flipping the switch and saying, there's also the need here, in addition to proving what I'm made of and exerting myself in the greatest and most profound ways in our lives and our life purposes, to also go inward, slow down, self-soothe. This is increasing blood flow to the groin. It's commonly known as butterfly. However, you might put a different name toward it. Self-soothing in my back with the closed hand, back of the hand circles, supports me in my practice. What about you? What's inside of you right now? What are you sensing that is genuine to your experience and expression? What are you determining based off of that deep inner listening so that you can activate exercise freedom to experience your body in a new way? Based off that question I just asked you, I am holding space for quiet for a bit here. You can see me and you can sense yourself. Always only doing what you're comfortable doing in your own body, whether it's what I'm doing or not. Please mind the silence, meaning notice your mind. Notice what it's telling you or not telling you. Be grateful. Sometimes it's a messenger that connects to sensations. Sometimes it's repeating information that is dated. Rather than sweeping away all capacity of the mind, what might be something, an encouraging, self-noticing statement that builds into the body that you're forming and the bodies that we're forming as we practice together? Zipping up the inner thighs here in my body creates a sense of uber strength in my inner being. Magnetizing my body toward the center line creates mega focus. Coupling that with these undulating movements that you just saw, the circling, there's a dynamism that helps my brain to work simultaneously in such different ways that it complements the kind of lifestyles that we're asked to lead today. Please remember that the benefit of having this on a video is that you can pause and you can rewind whenever you like. You have that power. The wave of the breath is moving in my low torso. Where is it moving in your body? And how might you sense into moving it more deeply into the lower portion of the body? In the TCY 30-hour and 200-hour teacher training at innerbeatyoga.com, we learn so much together. You work with me one-on-one, and we get to connect in those one-on-one sessions in ways that cater to you and your desires and goals. Here I'm showing we always round the spine. We always look at our belly. It's a common shared human experience here that in order to protect our central nervous system, our brain, our spinal cord, we need to look at our bellies here unwaveringly, looking at the navel. It's a wonderful way to focus our brains. When we focus on one place, it actually scientifically sends calming messages to the brain. That's something I'm into. In a hurried, ever-ready world, that's something that is fantastic for us. I'm using my fingertips like roots of a tree there to root me and lengthen through my spine. And I'm showing here to really, I'm tucking my tailbone. You might be on something totally different, once again, listening, sensing, determining your own process. The beautiful thing is that when you show up in live and in-person classes, as you frequent those, every day we learn something new. Whether or not you do every single thing that I practice, or you find yourself in your own practice and cater the listening, outward listening of me to what your inner needs are. It's time for me to start some supine postures. Simple twist with that inner sensing, so I can determine what's transpiring in my physical self moment to moment, tracking how I'm holding the human experience of expansion and tension, and how I can get tension to work for me rather than against me in each posture, and how much expansion I can do without negatively triggering any adverse reactions. So this looks simple, and it's 100% unharmful in its totality in the practice of yoga itself, with all of its wonderful intentions. That said, every single posture has its limits. Every single day, those limits shift, change, and liken to our internal experience. It's all one. My mental, emotional self is being tracked in my physical body. I know, it's maybe too much, TMI, too much information. However, in these videos, it's key for me to educate as much as I can on my felt experience in my practice, so that you might do that rigorous, unrelenting self-inquiry that leads to your own self-determination, so that you can track your own path forward in your own life. For the rest of the video, there's only ocean sounds. From here, there'll be a twist on the other side, and arm reaches. Again, everything is relative. My body needs different things than what your body needs. The legs might be lower, further away from the underarm. They might be bent instead of straight. The head might be rocking from side to side to integrate that gentle rocking at any point in time in this posture. Thank you for being here. I'm really excited that you are intrigued by the TCY process. I'm here as the facilitator in one-on-one, online, in person, or in more rigorous training, more elaborate, I might say, rather than rigorous, because we always determine what is best for each practitioner in every class and in every program. Thanks again, and I hope you continue to find your way every day, as I always seek to do myself. Aloha.